You ever notice how people will believe just about anything, as long as it saves them the trouble of actually having to think? Thinking is hard. Thinking requires energy. People don't like energy unless it's in the form of a cheeseburger or a remote control. The human brain, for all the bragging we do about it, is basically a lazy roommate. It'll do just enough to keep you alive, and then it wants to sit around in sweatpants and watch reruns of Gilligan's Island. And because of that, people cling to beliefs like a life raft. Beliefs are easy, thinking is work. And if there's one thing people don't want to do, it's work, especially mental work. That's why people say, I don't want to think about it right now. You ever hear that? I just don't want to think about it. They treat thinking like it's a root canal. Like thinking is some kind of punishment. Don't make me think. I've had a long day. You sat in a chair and stared at a screen for 8 hours, Karen, you're not digging coal. But people act like pondering a thought is going to give them a hernia. That's why they love belief. Belief doesn't require a process. It doesn't require testing, weighing, comparing, observing. No, belief is instant soup for the mind. Just add gullibility, stir, and you've got a warm bowl of comfort to sip on. Delicious. You tell people, hey, maybe this idea isn't true, maybe we should check with it. And they look at you like you just suggested burning down their childhood home. No, I believe it. I don't need to check. I believe. Belief is the mental equivalent of putting your feet up. It's lazy, but it feels good. It's like putting on slippers for your brain. It doesn't matter if those slippers smell like a dead raccoon. People will keep wearing them because they're comfy. And comfort always beats truth. Always. That's why the world is full of folks who believe in lucky charms, fortune tellers, palm readers, horoscopes, miracle cures, magic diets, and little rituals to make sure the parking spot opens up. People will do anything, believe anything, as long as it keeps them from the heavy lifting of thought. You ever notice how much people want shortcuts? They want the shortcut to success, the shortcut to love, the shortcut to money, the shortcut to health. And the shortcut they love most? The shortcut to understanding. Why figure it out when you can just believe it? It's faster. Thinking is slow, but believing is instant gratification. And if there's one thing people love more than comfort, it's instant gratification. Look at superstition. Whole industries are built on it. Lucky numbers, lucky socks, lucky rabbit's feet. First of all, what did the rabbit get out of this deal? He sure as hell didn't get lucky. And people carry this thing around, rubbing it, petting it, whispering to it like it's going to open up the doors of fortune. Why? Because thinking about why life is unpredictable, or why luck even exists, or why the universe doesn't give a damn about you, that's uncomfortable. It keeps you up at night. And people don't want discomfort, they want a rabbit's foot. A little talisman of nonsense that reassures them. But don't worry, your special good things are coming. And belief doesn't even need evidence. Evidence? Who needs evidence when you've got conviction? People think conviction is a substitute for proof. They figure if they feel it strongly enough, it must be real. I just feel it in my heart. Well, your heart is a blood pump, not a Ouija board, but people love that line. I just feel it. Yeah, you also feel like you're going to stick to that diet, and we all know how that turned out. But belief has no quality control. None. It's all based on comfort. Does it make me feel better? Yes. Then I'll believe it. Doesn't matter if it's absurd. Doesn't matter if it defies logic. Doesn't matter if it goes against everything we've learned for centuries. If it makes me feel good, I'll buy it. And notice it's always about feeling good. Beliefs are security blankets for grown-ups. People clutch them, wrap themselves in them, and refuse to let go. Even if the blanket is full of holes and smells like mildew, they're not letting go. Because without it, they'd be cold and exposed to reality. And nobody likes reality. Reality is rough. Reality tells you that life is random, people are selfish. Things don't always work out, and the universe doesn't care whether you get a raise or not. Belief swoops in like a warm, fluffy pillow. Don't worry, it's all going to work out. You're special, you're chosen, you're lucky, you're destined. It's lullabies for adults. That's why every time you challenge someone's belief, they don't argue the facts, they argue their feelings. They say, well, it makes me feel better. That's the defense, not it's true. Not here's the evidence. No, just, it makes me feel better. That's it. And if that's the standard, then anything goes. If it makes you feel better, it's valid. Hey, heroin makes you feel better too. Should we all start shooting up? It makes me feel better, that's the logic. Anything that spares the mind a little effort, people will believe. And you know what else? People confuse believing with understanding. That's the sneaky part. When people say, I believe it, what they really mean is, I don't understand it, but I don't want to admit that, so I'll just believe it instead. Oh, belief is the duct tape you slap on the cracks of your knowledge. Don't understand how the stars move, just believe they're guiding your love life. Don't understand how your body works, just believe this juice cleanse will detoxify your spirit. Don't understand economics, just believe the lottery is your ticket to freedom. Belief fills the gaps. And people love filling gaps. Empty space makes them nervous, you can see it in everyday life. People believe their lucky pen will help them pass a test. People believe carrying crystals will heal them. People believe blowing out candles on a cake will grant wishes. People believe in birthday luck, wedding luck, New Year's luck, Friday luck, Monday luck, coin luck. Every day of the week, some luck. The whole calendar is a superstition factory. And you ask them, why do you believe this? They shrug. I don't know, I just do. That's the answer, they don't know. They don't care, they just believe. Because thinking would require them to question, to analyze, to possibly accept an answer they don't like. That's the real fear. People aren't afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of the truth being unpleasant. They want pleasant lies. The truth is too raw, too cold, too jagged. Beliefs come wrapped in bubble wrap. Beliefs come with sprinkles. Beliefs pat you on the back and tell you everything's fine. And people eat that up. They'd rather chew on a sweet lie than choke on a bitter truth. You ever try giving someone a bitter truth? They spit it out instantly. But hand them a frosted, sugar-coated belief, and they'll swallow the whole thing in one bite. Yum! Delicious delusion. And the crazy part is people don't even admit they're being lazy. They act like belief is noble, like it's virtuous. I just believe they say it proudly. As if refusing to think is some kind of achievement. Belief gets turned into a badge of honor. Meanwhile, actual thinking gets brushed off. You tell someone, well, I researched it, I studied it, I tested it. And they look at you like you're a nerd who wasted his time. Oh, you think too much. That's the insult, you think too much. As if using the very organ that separates us from the goats is a flaw. Imagine saying to a carpenter, you hammer too much, or to a chef, you cook too much. But with the brain, suddenly too much use is a problem. People want the brain for simple tasks only. Just enough to order food, complain about traffic, and remember the theme song to the Brady Bunch. Beyond that, it's too much strain. They want the mind to run on autopilot. And belief is the perfect autopilot. It tells you, don't worry, no need to check, no need to verify, no need to doubt. Just believe, sit back and relax. And people say, oh great, sounds good to me. Because thinking is like jogging for the mind. And people don't like jogging either. They like the idea of jogging, they like the image of themselves jogging. But when it comes to actually doing it, suddenly their shoes don't fit. Belief is mental junk food. Easy, tasty, zero nutrition. And notice how nobody ever says, I believe 2 + 2 is 4. You don't need to believe it. You know it. Belief only pops up where knowledge is absent. Belief fills in where evidence is missing. You never hear someone say, I believe my car has 4 tires. No, you go outside and look. But when it comes to the things people don't want to check, suddenly belief is enough. I believe it. And the conversation ends. Belief is the conversation stopper. It's the big red stop sign for thought. Once belief enters, thinking exits. And people prefer it that way. Less hassle, less responsibility. Because here's the truth. Belief is a form of outsourcing. People outsource their thinking. Just like they outsource their laundry, their cooking, their child rearing. Thinking is the last thing people want to do for themselves. They'd rather farm it out to someone else. But tell me what to believe. And there's always someone ready to provide the service. Always someone with a shiny smile, a nice suit, and a handful of nonsense to sell. And people line up for it because it's easier than thinking. Always easier. And the end result? Planet full of people who think they know things when all they've really done is rent a belief. They've signed a lease on an idea because it was cozy and cheap, and they'll hold on to it until it collapses around them. But even then, they won't stop. They'll just move into the next belief, the next comforting delusion, the next easy answer. Because comfort beats truth every time. Comfort is king. That's why people believe the silliest things. You ever notice how people will believe anything as long as enough other people are doing it? It doesn't matter how ridiculous, how obviously stupid, how flat out wrong, it becomes a true the second the crowd signs on. If the herd buys in and the individual shuts down, thinking gone, reasoning out the window, logic doesn't stand a chance. Because humans are pack animals, and pack animals would rather be wrong together than right alone. People can't stand being the odd one out. They'll look at a completely insane idea, see everyone else nodding and say, well, I guess it must be true. That's the rule. The majority is always correct, unless, of course, they're completely wrong. Which, by the way, they usually are. You ever watch a group of people line up for something they know nothing about? Just because there's already a line. They don't even ask what it's for. They see the line, they get in it. What's this for? I don't know, but if all these people are here, it must be good. That's herd mentality in action. Doesn't matter what's at the front of the line. Could be free sandwiches, could be a punch in the face. They'll wait 2 hours because the herd told them it's worth it. And the funny thing is, the longer the line, the more convinced they are. Must be amazing. Look at the line. Yeah, and look at you, standing there like a cow at the slaughterhouse just because everyone else is. That's how superstitions survive. Not because they make sense, not because they have evidence, but because everyone around you believes them. So you join in. Don't walk under a ladder. It's bad luck. Why? Why? Because everyone says so. Well, everyone once said the earth was flat too. Didn't make it true. But the herd doesn't care about truth. The herd cares about fitting in. Because standing alone is terrifying to people. It's scarier than ghosts, scarier than monsters, scarier than reality itself. People will do almost anything to avoid standing out. And here's the kicker. The herd doesn't just influence what people believe, it influences how they behave. You ever see a group of people at a sports game? One person stands up to cheer. Suddenly everyone's on their feet. Nobody knows why. Nobody cares. They just follow. It's like someone pressed a button that activates the sheep reflex. Same with laughter. You ever sit in a crowd and hear one big laugh break out? You laugh too, even if you didn't hear the joke. You don't want to be the one guy sitting there stone-faced while everyone else is cracking up. That's the power of the herd. It makes people pretend to understand things they don't, pretend to enjoy things they hate, and pretend to know things they couldn't possibly know. And when it comes to beliefs, herd mentality is the glue that keeps nonsense alive for centuries. Take horoscopes. You think one person actually believed in horoscopes all by themselves? No, they saw everyone else doing it. They saw the newspaper printing it, their friends talking about it, the herd nodding along. And they thought, oh well, if everyone else believes it, it must have something to it. Same with fortune tellers. Same with miracle cures. Same with any fad. Nobody wants to be the weirdo saying, guys, maybe this is nonsense. Because then the herd turns on you. The herd doesn't like dissent. They'll chew you up and spit you out faster than you can say a group discount. Look at how people shop. You ever notice that reviews matter more than the actual product? Nobody wants to try something unless it has at least 4 stars. Not because they know anything about it, but because other people said it was good. There's 17 strangers on the internet said it's amazing. So it must be. Doesn't matter if those 17 people were drunk, delusional, or paid. If the herd approves, it's safe. That's how weak the average mind is. It doesn't ask, is this true? It asks, does everyone else think it's true? And if the answer is yes, boom, you're in. And the herd doesn't stop with strangers. Families are herds too. Whole generations of people pass down beliefs like hand-me-down clothes. You grow up hearing your parents say it, your grandparents say it, the neighbors say it, so you say it too, even if it makes no sense. Even if you know deep down it's stupid, you keep saying it because if you don't, you'll be the black sheep. and nobody wants to be the black sheep. Funny how that works, isn't it? You'd rather be the white sheep in the middle of the flock, walking off cliff, than the black sheep standing safely on solid ground. It's everywhere. Holidays, traditions, rituals. Half the stuff people do is just because the herd does it. Nobody knows why. Nobody cares. They just repeat it. Ask somebody why they're doing it, and you'll hear, that's just the way it is. Translation: the herd told me to. It's the ultimate non-answer. The herd doesn't need a reason. The herd is the reason. And you ever notice how the herd hates change? If you challenge the herd, they don't stop to think. They attack. Because you're not just questioning an idea, you're questioning their membership in the group. And the group is sacred. To people, belonging matters more than truth. They'd rather believe a lie with company than know the truth alone. That's the rule. The really crazy part? People actually trust the herd more the bigger it gets. As if adding more sheep makes the flock smarter. Millions of people can't be wrong. Oh, yes, they can. Millions of people have been wrong many, many times. Whole civilizations have been wrong, wiped out, gone, because they believe something stupid together. But people never learn. They keep thinking the herd is wise. The herd knows best. No, the herd knows nothing. The herd knows what the herd knows, which is nothing. It's just noise echoing back and forth, louder every time it bounces. But that's enough for most people. They don't want to think, they want to belong, they don't want to analyze, they want to agree. They don't want to stand out, they want to blend in. And the herd gives them that. The herd says, don't worry, we've got your back. As long as you keep nodding, as long as you keep clapping, as long as you keep repeating what we say, you're safe. And people buy it. Because safety in numbers feels better than truth in solitude. That's why the herd survives. That's why the herd thrives. That's why the herd can convince perfectly reasonable people to believe the most unreasonable nonsense. Because once the herd believes, individuals stop thinking. The brain goes quiet, the mouth repeats, and the cycle continues. One big, dumb, happy echo chamber, mooing and buying its way through history. And that's why people believe the silliest things. You ever notice people will believe absolutely anything as long as it comes with a little hope attached to it? That's the secret ingredient. Sprinkle a little hope on top, and you can serve people the biggest plate of nonsense in the world, and they'll lick it clean. Clean. Hope is the best seasoning. It covers up the rotten meat underneath. Doesn't matter how bad it smells, how silly it sounds, how obviously fake it is. If it promises hope, people take a bite, because hope is the biggest seller. Always has been. You put hope on the shelf, it outsells truth every single time. People love hope because reality is a lousy salesman. Reality doesn't do charm. Reality doesn't smile at you. Reality doesn't whisper sweet nothings in your ear. Reality says, hey, life is hard, people are selfish, luck is random, and you're not that special. Nobody wants to hear that. But hope puts on a nice suit, combs its hair, shines its shoes, and says, don't worry, things are going to be great, just trust me. And people go, oh, thank God, finally someone who understands me. They'll follow hope into the desert, into the ocean, into bankruptcy court. Doesn't matter where it leads. Because people don't care about where hope takes them. They care about how it makes them feel on the way there. And the crazy part is, hope doesn't even have to be realistic. In fact, the less realistic it is, the more people love it. The lottery is the perfect example. The lottery is just a tax for people who can't do math. And yet people line up for it every week. Why? Because it sells hope. For the price of a ticket, you get to dream about quitting your job, moving into a mansion, buying a yacht, telling your boss to shove it. That little piece of paper isn't about numbers. It's about hope. It's a legal hallucination. And millions of people pay for it gladly because reality offers them nothing but another paycheck that barely covers rent. Reality sucks, but hope is worth $2 a shot. Same thing with miracle cures. You ever see those old ads? Drink this tonic and it'll cure baldness, bad breath, broken bones, and bankruptcy. And people bought it because it gave them hope. Hope that maybe their hair would come back, their teeth would stop falling out, their debts would vanish. Never mind that the tonic was basically sugar water with a splash of alcohol. Didn't matter. It gave them hope, and hope was worth the price. Even today, you got miracle diets, miracle pills, miracle gadgets. Every commercial promises the same thing. This will change your life. And people believe it because they want to believe it. They want to believe change is easy. Success is guaranteed. Happiness is just one purchase away. Hope sells because hope doesn't have a refund policy. And notice how hope is always vague. That's the trick. Hope never gives you a date, never gives you a guarantee. Hope is like a check with no signature. It looks official, but you can't cash it. Good things are coming. When? Soon. But don't worry, soon. People don't push it. They don't ask for specifics because hope thrives on vagueness. The more vague it is, the more you can project onto it. It's like a blank canvas. You can paint your own fantasy on it. And people love painting fantasy. You see it in horoscopes. Every horoscope is basically the same. Something big is coming your way. You'll face challenges, but if you stay positive, things will improve. That applies to literally everyone. Everyone's got challenges. Everyone's waiting for something big. Everyone wants things to improve. But people read it and go, wow, that's me. Of course it's you. It's also your neighbor, your mailman, and the guy selling hot dogs on the corner. But you believe it because it gives you hope. And hope feels personal, even when it's generic. And the funny thing is, hope doesn't even have to deliver oikada. Hope can fail 1,000 times and people will still buy it again. That's how powerful it is. People say, well, maybe last time didn't work, but this time it will. That's hope talking. Hope is the gambler's best friend. You lose all your money at the slot machine and hope whispers, "Now don't worry, the next one's the jackpot." And you pull the lever again and again and again until you're broke. But you never stop because hope keeps dangling the carrot. And people will chase that carrot forever. Hope also sells in politics. Oh boy, does it sell. Every politician, no matter what side they're on, sells the same product, hope for a better future. They wrap it in different packaging, slap on different slogans, but it's the same old thing. Stick with me and things will be better. And people cheer, wave flags, and chant slogans because hope is in the air. Doesn't matter that the guy hasn't fixed a pothole in 20 years. Doesn't matter that none of the promises make sense. People don't care about results, they care about hope. Because hope is cheaper than reality. Reality takes work, time, compromise. Hope takes one speech and a smile. And people always prefer the speech and the smile. And let's not forget religion. That's the biggest hope factory of them all. The original hope dealer. Religion runs on hope. Hope for a better life. Hope for forgiveness. Hope for eternal paradise. And look, I'm not knocking anyone's faith, but you gotta admit, the business model is genius. Offer people hope in exchange for belief. That's it. Doesn't matter if the promises are unverifiable. Doesn't matter if the evidence is thin. People don't want evidence, they want hope. Hope that their suffering means something. Hope that the unfairness of life will be corrected later. Hope that death isn't the end. That's the ultimate hope. And people will cling to it tighter than anything. Because without it, they'd have to face the big, scary truth. And here's the kicker. People know hope isn't guaranteed. Deep down they know. They know the lottery won't hit, the tonic won't cure, the politician won't deliver, the horoscope is a guess. But they believe anyway, because hope is addictive. It's like sugar for the soul. Even if it rots you, even if it makes you sick, you keep coming back. Because the alternative's too bitter, too bitter. The alternative is accepting reality, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to wake up in the morning and say, well, I guess this is it. Nothing magical, nothing special, just another day. No, people need a little sparkle, a little glitter, a little promise of something better. That's what keeps them going. You ever notice how every product in the world is really selling hope? A car commercial doesn't sell you a car, it sells you the hope of freedom. A diet ad doesn't sell you food, it sells you the hope of looking good naked. A perfume ad doesn't sell you a smell, it sells you the hope of romance. Every single thing is hope in disguise. They don't sell what it is, they sell what it could be. And people buy it because hope is irresistible. And the wildest part, people defend their hope. You try to take it away, they get angry. You point out the flaws, the contradictions, the impossibility. And they snap back. Don't ruin it for me. Because hope is sacred. Hope is fragile. It's like a balloon. They don't want you anywhere near it with your sharp little facts. Facts pop the balloon. Belief keeps it floating. And people will protect that balloon with their lives. And maybe that's the saddest part, because hope should be a tool, not a trap. Hope should inspire action, not replace it. But for most people, hope is the end, not the means. They don't use hope to motivate themselves, they use it to sedate themselves. It's mental anesthesia. It dulls the pain of reality so they can get through the day. And in that sense, hope is less of a seller and more of a drug. A drug that's legal, socially acceptable, and highly addictive. But that's why it works. That's why people keep buying it. That's why they'll always believe the silliest things, as long as there's hope attached. Because without hope, they'd have to face reality. And nobody's lining up to buy that. That's why people believe the silliest things.